all come in now.
Is this on? Okay, good. Good morning, everybody. I am being MC and speaker today, so you're going to see a lot of me. Yeah. Thank you for being here or being online. We appreciate you showing up for the Church Within as part of our community. We are very, very grateful to have you as part of us. In case you don't know, I am Reverend Jane Kercheval. So, how do we always start? Oh, come on, somebody has to know. Okay, we all take a deep breath. All right, so breathe in and out. Okay, Lindo, what's it supposed to do? Lights are on. Thank you. Yeah, this is yep. Well, that's easy. First time for everything. Thank you. We breathe together to gather ourselves in. Sometimes we send our thoughts into a past that we wish we could change or forget, or a future that we wish we could control. And we are not fully arrived in the moment. When we breathe together like we just did, we gather all those thoughts, past and future, bring them into the moment to be here just now, knowing that whatever it is that distracts us can wait. We breathe to gather ourselves in so we might be about the task of this moment, and that is building church together. The flame is kindled every time we gather, Sundays or workshops or whatever, to remind us that there's something within each of us, something eternal, that we call the light. Sometimes that light feels dimmed by the goings-on of life and the world, and we gather here together to have it kindled again. Sometimes it's kindled by what we receive, and sometimes it's kindled by what we share with others. I'm glad you all have chosen to begin your week in this way, becoming a spark, a rekindling for each other. And I believe, I'm still getting used to the sequence of things. This is the moment that everybody gets to say hello to other folks, greet new people. If you don't want to get up and move around and share hugs and greetings, you can stay in your seat. People will wave from afar. And we'll take a few minutes to do that. So please greet your fellow attendees. Wow, you guys settled fast. Okay, there's a sticky note here with Maggie's name on it, but is Maggie here? Hello. Yeah. It's a what? Perfect. Announcements. I have one from Mark. The annual Mark and Friends concert and silent auction is coming up. Are you ready for this? Saturday, October 18th? Soon. So if you didn't know about it, now you're hearing it. It's 7 to 9 p.m. Saturday night. It's $15 per ticket, or bring a friend and it's 2 for $25, and then you only have to pay $12.50 each. Or bring more, split it. Okay. We have an announcement that Danielle said I could share after church today as a reminder that there's a listening session. So you're welcome to stay for that. If you do, make sure you sign in and do all the stuff for that session. And it's not us, it's Indie Action Coalition. Okay. For the next cycle. So come, listen, see what's going on with the Indie Action Coalition that Danielle's very involved with. Are you the head person of the, chief person, so that's why the invite. Donna has an announcement? Cool.
We still need speakers, and the position I'm calling the MC through the rest of the year. Our most immediate need is for a speaker and MC for October the 19th. If you're available for either of those positions or both, please see me after church. We also need someone on November the 16th and 3 of the 4 Sundays in December. So please pitch in, help, share something about yourselves that we don't know, and have a wonderful time. Stretch yourselves. Thank you.
Good word, stretch yourself. It can be a little daunting to do the message up here, but it's doable. And last week, I was real clear about what I wanted to talk about, so I had notes already gathered and things that I just put together. It wasn't that hard, although it takes a little time to type it up for me. Yesterday, I had an all-day retreat, and all week I was busy, and so last night at 12:30, I finished typing. And it was kind of funny, Mark had sent me the lyrics to put into the PowerPoint, saying, sorry, this is late, and I'm like, 10:15, heck, that was early. So, all is good, you can do it, and you all have something in your heart and mind that you can share. So think about filling in those gaps, because we need you. We need to hear from you. We need to know how you do what you do. Let's see. Any other announcements that I've missed? Okay. It's time for the youth to go to the Sangha room. So enjoy yourselves. Who are the leaders today over there? Linda. Thank you, Linda. And who else? Okay. Have a wonderful time. We'll see you later. You're hanging out here, huh? Okay. I was going to say, if you get bored, you can always go anytime. So, next on the agenda is our meditation and prayer time with Jeffrey. So, if you'll come up and take care of that for me. Oh, music first. Oh, sorry, Mark. Mark is going to lead us into that with one of the songs he selected for today that he wrote.
Good morning. We gather here and we meditate to connect with Source, to clear the clutter of our minds and remember that we are one with the mind of the divine. I invite you to relax in your chair, divert your attention, or close your eyes. Release the burdens that you're carrying from this week. Sink into the comfortable, loving arms of Source. Breathe and move past the thoughts that may arise, seeking comfort in the silence and wisdom. Take a deep breath in and hold it for just a moment and release. Let's take another deep breath in together and hold it for a moment and take in just a little bit more because we can typically, and release. Imagine in your mind a place that you've visited or that you've lived that feels good. A place that you associate with love, happiness, or just a general good feeling. Let your mind kind of wander around that place and explore it. Maybe you've been there recently. Maybe you were there many, many years ago. Focus on just a few details of that place. And remember the joy that you feel there. And now imagine maybe a vase of flowers, or if your place is outside, some flowers that are growing out in the wild. Really focus on those flowers. What color are they? What shape? What variety? What scent do they have, maybe? Now focus in on one of those flowers. Notice as many details as you can. Let your mind zoom in a little bit more and see some textures, some imperfections. Zoom in a little bit more to one petal or one leaf of that flower or that plant, as if with a microscope, and see real details. Now think of a prayer that you might have. Something you need or want out of life, comfort for someone else, whatever your prayer need or desire is. Place it in that flower, in the grooves or in the divots that you see in that really zoomed in version. Leave it there for the divine to find. Now another deep breath in and out. This community was founded on prayer, and we continue that practice. If you have need of prayer this week or anytime, you can write it down and place it in one of the boxes here in the building. One is to my right, your left. You can submit it at thechurchwithin.org. And if anyone wants to talk through any of those needs, I'll be happy to talk with you and pray with you after church. Amen.
Thank you, Jeffrey. If you hadn't seen the connection yet, you probably know what my talk's about because of the songs about prayer and what Jeffrey just did for us. It was something that came to me last week, and I decided, okay, put it all together and share. So I titled it, What is Prayer and How Do We Do It? And in last Sunday's message, which I hope you either heard while you were here or saw it online, I talked about the importance of our thoughts. The focus being that what we think ends up becoming our life. It was change your thinking, change your life. We did an exercise from lesson 1 in A Course in Miracles to look at something and say, this chair, this rug, this candle, whatever you see, you say, this has no meaning. And as I mentioned last week, the lessons are there for the student to begin practicing a new way of thinking, step by step. Each lesson, the 365 of them, build on the previous ones. So you have to do them in order. That whole process affects how we interact with the world about us. What we look at, we interact with. And as I was thinking about that, I think that relates to the tikkun olam that Reverend Darren used to talk about many times. Touching the world where the world touches us, being aware of that. And I started looking up that term last night to get some more background on it, and I quickly realized that there was a rabbit hole I was going down, and it was not really related to this talk, so I put that aside for another time. It could become another whole Sunday lesson or two. So, back to the things that we see have no meaning except, and the lessons go on to say, it's the meaning that you give to it. If we all look at the piano over there, take a quick glance, it should be obvious that everyone in this room has had their own unique experience with that piano. It may be, I have no relationship with that piano. I don't play the piano. I don't even sing well. Or it may bring up thoughts like, we had a piano in our home growing up. I took lessons on it. The family would gather around it singing songs that somebody played. All of us have unique meanings related to whatever objects we all see. And unfortunately, we're all speakers of English, so we all call that piano, so we know what we're talking about. And language is important. A Course in Miracles teaches us not only to do the things that we see have no meaning, except the meaning that we give to them. Lesson 4 says these thoughts do not mean anything. Interesting. And then there's 3 more lessons that help us see that when things and thoughts have no meaning, we end up seeing a meaningless world. And that could engender fear. If everything around us has no meaning, what I ask is, what's the point? So it doesn't sound promising to think of that, and we don't dwell on it because there is hope. Lesson 14 says, God did not create a meaningless world. Hear that again. God did not create a meaningless world. That gave me some moments. Now, the remaining 351 lessons has the student practicing new ideas and thinking new thoughts that guide the student to begin recognizing what kinds of thoughts bring peace into their heart and mind and remove the obstacles to love. Peace, love, something we'd all like to have and experience on a regular basis, right? Yeah. You may be asking yourself, do I really have to spend the rest of the year doing all those lessons to achieve this new way of thinking? Yes and no. Many of us who've been coming here a while have learned various ways to get to peace without actually retraining your whole thought system. However, if you're still struggling with how do I find peace regularly, the course might be the way to go for 365 days. The lessons won't hurt. And I think there's an ongoing class still through the church within for support and discussion. And I know Betty and David are very deeply involved with the Course in Miracles and great students, and they could also guide you to any other Course in Miracles course that probably is online these days. I know there's some folks that attend the church within who also attend Buddhist meditation. That might be a helpful way if you're looking for something specific. In the meantime, my suggestion is to use what you already know and do. Or at least I'm assuming that you all have some form of praying that you do. There are likely as many ways of praying as there are people on the planet. You can't do it wrong. As you well know, some religions have established rituals around their particular prayers. If a specific ritual helps you remember to pray, that's a beautiful thing. Do that. Personally, I've never been good at doing a disciplined ritual for any prayer or anything else over a long period of time. It may be my ADD, maybe because I'm lazy, whatever. I wasn't raised in a family that regularly prayed. I remember one time my sister was dating a young man of the Mormon faith, and when she returned, she said, he prayed in the car before we left for our date. And I was like, she thought it was weird. I thought it was weird because we just weren't a family of prayers. But wow, I have learned when I get in the car, I say a prayer surrounding myself with angels to keep me and everybody in a 10-mile radius safe. Because I do believe prayer works. And I want the angels to know I'm willing to call on them for help. Now, up until now, I haven't created my own regular prayer routine other than when I first wake up and right before I go to sleep, if I'm not exhausted and just go right out, I often mentally name people who have asked for prayer. And will mention whatever it is they've asked for, if there's something specific. If they haven't asked for something specific, I ask for healing and peace to infill them, and whatever serves the highest good in their life. And I don't ask for peace for the world. I don't ask, I know. I want it to be a positive affirmation that goes out of my thinking to the universe to say, I know there is peace in this world, to create more of it. And I know that world peace begins within me. Also, regardless of what I'm doing, if it's driving, shopping, whatever, if some person's name, or even a place pops in my head, I'm assuming that that person needs some grace from me, some prayer. And so I will just hold that for a moment, hold space for whatever they need. I remember one of our church members had returned from a Boy Scout rafting trip that she had taken her troop on. And she shared that their raft overturned, and she was caught in one of those eddies and was praying desperately. And she said, and when she said this, I thought, oh, I remember thinking about her this week. And she said, I was suddenly lifted out of that swirling water and rescued. So, and she had Other friends, when she shared the story, say, I thought of you this week. That must have been what was happening. We are all connected. So if that happens, send a prayer. Another story I heard many years ago was, and I think it happened in Britain, there was a long line of traffic. People were getting anxious, as we do when we're stuck in traffic, but up ahead there had been an accident. And somebody at the back of the line decided to pray. Send angels to the person who was involved, or the persons who were involved in the accident, and those who were rescuing them, the first responders. Later, the person who did the prayer heard back from one of the people that was in the accident who said, we were in real trouble, and suddenly there was an angel with us that took care of everything. And I've always thought, what if I'm that person that needs to do that prayer? Don't get upset because there's traffic. Pray for whatever's happening. Reverend Louise used to live near a hospital, and she taught me that when a rescue helicopter goes over, send a prayer for whatever they need to be safe. So, as typical speakers do, I looked some things up online. And it says, different religions have diverse approaches to prayer, ranging from fixed daily rituals to spontaneous conversations with the divine. Practices can include reciting specific liturgical texts or mantras, and that happens in Judaism, Buddhism, and Hinduism. Some engage in silent meditation. There are some Christian practices that do that, some Buddhist practices. And prayer also includes performing prescribed physical movements like bowing in Islam, or having informal conversations with God. That tends to happen in Christianity. The timing, the form, and the purpose of prayer, whether for personal connection, supplication, community, or praise, varies significantly between faiths. In Christianity, we often view the conversation is with God, encompassing expressions of adoration, confession, thanksgiving, and supplication. It can be spontaneous and private, or structured in forms like hymns and free-form prayers, like Jeffrey did for us this morning. In Islam, there's ritual prayer, or it's called salat, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, which is performed 5 times a day, facing Mecca, involving specific words, actions like bowing, and reciting verses from the Quran. Some of you may not know this, but we've had folks attend various functions here when we've rented out or loaned out the church, and it occurred that if it's time for a prayer, the Muslim participants needed to go to a silent place, and they would use the meditation room for that. And I remember Darren saying, we need to provide prayer rugs. They don't need to be kneeling on our rug. And so those were donated, and we supposedly still have prayer rugs in that room. In Judaism, prayer is practiced 3 times a day. I've known several Jews, and I never heard that, but it's online, has to be true. It can involve reciting specific blessings, thanking God, petitioning for needs. Rabbis and other religious Jews sway or rock back and forth. I'm guessing you probably have seen that. And I sometimes find myself rocking, and I'm like, why am I doing that? Well, during prayer and Torah study, it's a practice called shuckling, S-H-U-C-K-L-I-N-G, new word to me, and it has several purposes. It's a way to increase focus and emotional intensity, a physical response to the rhythm of prayers and study, and it's an imitation of the trembling at the giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai. It's a symbolic expression of the soul's yearning to connect with the divine, similar to flickering flames. I liked that. Hinduism, they have prarthana, and the prayer can be mental, which is manasika, and verbal, vacheka, and through mantras and hymns, or it can be a physical prayer called kaika. So rituals are like offerings and prostrations. Buddhism often involves mindfulness and chanting mantras to connect with the Buddha's wisdom and purify the mind from suffering. Home shrines with Buddha images are common, and meditation is a key practice. So maybe more than you wanted to know, but you got it. Oh, one more, Wicca. Prayer is seen as a way to harness natural energies, direct intentions for positive change, and invoke blessings or protection, often incorporating rituals and magical practices. I've been very blessed through my life to attend most of those kinds of services where those were happening. The only one I can think of that I haven't is Hinduism. They're all beautiful practices. They evoke deep feelings when you're there and present with them. At least they did for me. I've also attended a Native American or indigenous people's powwow, and I felt the power of the chanting and the dance, which I consider prayer. And I was disappointed that the internet did not include that. They were here first, you know? Now, as I did last week, I talked a little bit about the history of the church, so I want to share a story that probably most of you haven't heard. When we supposedly owned the Parkview Nursing Home, and I'm still not clear about who actually owned it, but we were involved with making sure things got done there, visiting the people, and we got involved as individuals being trained on a care team. And I think we ended up with 2 of them. The Damien Center trained us how to interact with a person with HIV/AIDS, and we became teams that were assigned an individual who needed somebody to help them go shopping or go shopping for them or transport them to a medical appointment or whatever. They had tried a one-on-one program, and it just wears a person out. So teams worked back and forth, and you did what you could as time allowed. So when one of the black gentlemen that we were teamed with, I believe he was homebound, passed away, we as a team decided to attend his funeral to show support to the family, that we were there for them also in the ongoing days as they processed their grief. Now, fortunately, and I don't remember who did it, somebody came and talked to our care team and said, if you've not been to a black funeral before, there's a few things you need to know. The ladies will dress up really fancy. They'll wear big hats. They will also provide nurses. And these are people that stand in a specific uniform around the church in case people are falling out. And emotions are very high in the black churches and in the funerals, and people do pass out. So we all, our little white selves, just sat there quietly and observed everything and sent love to all who needed it. There was also a young black man in the nursing home who needed prayer. He would ask for prayer. And we tried. We prayed with him. But it wasn't the prayer he needed. He needed the prayer of his church. So, you know what I did? I called the church and said, send the pastor over. This young man needs you to pray for him, because we knew what church he had been affiliated with. No return calls, no visits. Now, you know what I did? I drove over to the church. And I approached the secretary behind the desk, and I told her why I was there and who I wanted to see. And bless this lovely, fabulous, kind woman who said, the pastor will never set foot in that nursing home. Too many people were still afraid of breathing the air or touching a person that had HIV or AIDS. But she said, you know, one of our retired pastors will go. I'll call. And she did. And the gentleman came and prayed the way this young man needed so he could make his transition in peace. So prayer is different depending on who you are and where you grew up and what you believe now. There's no right or wrong way, at least I don't think there is here at the Church Within. We accept all people and many paths, and part of our paths is probably prayer. There's also a cool thing linguistically that flips around in my head because I was a linguist and an interpreter. So what I know is to pray is a verb, something that is done. Prayer becomes a noun, and nouns are person, places, and things. And prayers can be, as we just mentioned with the various religions, supplications or gratitude or just conversation with God, however you want to direct it. So, persons, places, or things. Those are the things. Could a place be a prayer? Have you considered that possibility? A place be a prayer? Think about if the Creator was surveying a forest or a garden of flowers or even a bouquet of flowers in a vase or vase. Maybe the Creator looking at a playground full of energetic children or the kids in the youth sangha room. The Creator looking at an ocean or a creek. Might the Creator consider those places prayers? I think so. And in English, we add the suffix er to nouns, action nouns, to become the person who does that thing. Swim, swimmer. Bake, baker. Read, reader. So in my brain, when I was interpreting, I heard the word prayer. I also heard prayer. Are we talking about the person who does it, or are we talking about the thing we do? And in my mind, you all are a prayer. Every one of you is a living, breathing, walking prayer. Now, connecting to last week when we talked about thoughts, how many of you have heard the statement, every thought becomes a prayer? Anybody heard it? Show of hands, hello. Are we awake? Are you comfortable with that? That every one of your thoughts becomes a prayer? Anybody willing to share your opinion on that? It's quiet in here. For the folks at home, nobody said anything. Is there a difference between a thought and a prayer? I found a short dialogue online that I thought I'd share with you. Patrick asked Dre, the big question is this: what is the difference between a thought and a prayer? Dre answers, the knee-jerk answer would be that thought is directed towards oneself, while prayer is directed towards God. And I would stand by that, although I think it's worth considering some nuance. And Patrick says, ooh, tell me more. And Dre responds, in some sense, they're very similar. Perhaps even more than one would think. After all, we each are made in the image of and have within us the breath of God. And thought, while directed towards oneself, is always about the world and also about the thought itself. He says, significantly, the Apostle Paul commends Christians to pray without ceasing in 1 Thessalonians 5:18. And when you think of prayer as something that is unceasing, it seems very much like thought, which is also unceasing. I don't know about you, but two things going on in my head at the same time, unceasing, makes me wonder what's what. But, he says, to get to that state of being in prayer requires will. So I would say that that's the distinction that it comes down to. Thought naturally just occurs, while prayer, the reorientation from oneself to God, requires a deliberate choice. Now, after reading that, I look closer at the phrase, the reorientation from oneself to God. We've heard here that God, we imagined a big circle, that God is all, and there's a dot, and we are that dot as part of God. God within us, we within God. If we've gotten to the point where everything is a creation of God, we're all one. Chairs, floors, everything. It does have the meaning we attach to it, and that's what I choose to make sure that I'm interacting with the world that God created. So, personally, I think it's critical that we make a practice of doing that. Because if thoughts create, and we know they do, then we really want to co-create with God, the universe, the Tao, whatever mystical energy name you give that stuff that creates. We really want to create peace, love, joy, friendship, abundance, and prosperity and love in all our lives. And yes, those words sound familiar because we say them every week in our offering prayer. And today, when the offering is taken, there is a piece of paper for everyone to take out of the basket. And whether you have something financially to contribute or not, give a moment, hands over the baskets, and pray abundance, pray love, pray whatever comes to your heart so that the church within can move forward with your blessings. I found one more thing that I wanted to share. It was a May 2024 message by a Chicago Unity pastor, Reverend Patrick McAndrew. And some of you may not know that our founding pastor, Reverend Louise Dunn, was a Unity person up in Minnesota where she met her husband. She'd been a nun before, and she left the convent because they wouldn't let her do what she wanted to do in the world, make a difference. Like, no, you don't do that. So she quit the church and went to Unity, met Ron because she was the song director, and I remember she said he was holding his folder, and she said those blue eyes just captivated me. So they got married, and love. Now, when I read this, I thought, oh, there's a song involved, because the Rev Doc Patrick is what he called himself, shared this song written by Eric Hansen, and he says that this song really resonated with him over and over and over again. And so when Mark is doing the music on this Sunday, first Sunday, I sent it to him and said, if you know this, I'd really like to have it today. Now, did you know it before? Isn't he wonderful? He figured out how I sent the lyrics, and I sent a link to the music. So he's going to share it with us as soon as I finish, which is very soon. But the first verse says, our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Be conscious of what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there, and every thought becomes a prayer. So Rev Doc Patrick says, this is one of my favorite songs. It runs through my head very often. That song kind of stuck in my head, and I couldn't get it out, especially when I would leave the service, and he's a Unity pastor up in Chicago, or was, and I began to listen to what other people were saying. Then I would turn on the TV news, listening to the reporters telling their stories, and then have to listen to those commercials. Listening and listening, oh my. Each telling their story of all the bad things that were happening and what was going to happen due to whatever, and then it would all happen over and over again. Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. And then I did a terrible thing. I started to listen to what I was thinking and saying, and remembering all the crazy things I said and others said when I had managed restaurants and bars and all the many things I was told and said as I was growing up. And then it occurred to me, is that why all the crazy things are happening? Yes, our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Unity's third core spiritual principle, the law of mind action, states, thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. We are the creator of our life's experience through the thoughts we hold and the words we speak. We are what and become what we think. Unfortunately, this teaching becomes the basis of a movie called The Secret and many prosperity programs which really did help people. However, many of those who took the programs didn't really hear or want to hear the core idea underlying the principle. After becoming aware of what this principle is saying and listening to this song, I looked around at how crazy my life was and said to myself, quote, I got to stop my stinking thinking and dedicate myself to living in awareness of my mind action. He goes on, as someone who has now studied the various fields of psychology for more than 50 years, the energy dynamics of healing touch for over 20, and Unity's teachings on the 12 powers for 30 years, I have realized this third spiritual principle has far more reaching effects than just creating a happy prosperity consciousness. With each word we speak and each thought we think, we send a vibration out into the invisible ethers to shape and form the ethers in accordance with those words and thoughts. Yes, we shape and form the invisible ethers, which includes our energy bodies with our words and our thoughts. Now consider the thoughts you might think without fully realizing you have allowed them to flow through your mind. Someone you're mad at, something in the news, a hurtful childhood memory. Consider how your ego mind directs your words and thoughts in conversations you are having with people around you as you are sharing your current life's stories, describing your woes and your challenges. I'm guilty. Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Have you ever considered what you might unconsciously be praying for? That's a deep question. He says, when I realized I was praying for more challenges and woes, I stopped. So, I'm inviting you all this week, month, year, you decide how long, to really listen to your thoughts. Catch the thoughts and words that are creating less than you really want for yourself, for your loved ones, and for the world. Catch and release. Then breathe in deeply. And somewhere in the last 33 years, I also learned to say, after I said something out loud or thought something that I realized I didn't really want to happen or become, I used the terms cancel, delete. There's a little time lag between that thought and the Tao, the universe, God, Creator, making it so. So take that second thought, I don't want that, cancel, delete, and the universe goes, okay, what do you want? And then change your thinking. So, that's my lesson for this week. I'd like you to try it. I invite you to do that, and then let me know. Text me, email me, talk to me, whatever. And right now we're going to have Mark sing the song that Unity used for many of their opening messages. And I bless you, Mark, for going with the flow. Thank you. So that will be obviously in the recording on YouTube, so you can always listen to it there. I will also put the link to Eric Hansen performing it on the Facebook page, so if you want to get it in your head, it's a lovely tune, and I think they're wonderful words too. Thank you, Mark and Renee, for giving us rhythm. We're very grateful. It's time for the offering. So Brable will put up the offering prayer. Please join me. Beloved divine, all that I am and all that I have comes from your limitless supply. I am an open and willing conduit through which your good flows. I share all that I have as you direct. Love, friendship, prosperity, peace, abundance, and joy are gifts that I share and receive. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, God. Amen. Remember to take a slip of paper out of the baskets today, because it's this prayer. I think it can be said anytime, anywhere, to help us remember that we are the conduits that God has allowed to exist here. Our hands, our eyes, our words become the expression of God. So carry it in your wallet or in your pocket. And when you get to that stinking thinking moment, just whip it out and just say these words. Make it easy. Make it easy. And remember to bless this church. Oh, yeah. Gracious Creator, beloved divine, we feel your presence here through every one of these conduits that are joining us in presence, perfect here in the now and online and in the future. We know that these gifts will bless this church, will help it to continue to exist. We know you're gifting us all of these things every day, and we will take a moment to say in gratitude, thank you. Thank you for all that is and all that you share with us, and for all that we can share with others. We are grateful. Amen. Anybody experiencing a health issue? We know Betty is, so please include Betty in your prayers. Any kind of health issue, or if you know someone. I printed up something that was distributed around the church a long time ago that you can read to yourself, and it suggests 3 times a day that you use I, me, or my, or somebody else's name that has physical challenges. And it starts out, it is natural for my body to be well. Even if I don't know what to do in order to get better, my body does. And it goes on with these wonderful positive affirmations that I use when I remember to do that, to help myself know that I am whole. You are whole. And if you need a reminder, help yourself after church. And we now have what? Brable, what's the next slide so I know what I'm doing? Okay, we're going to join hands, hopefully. And if you feel comfortable doing that, singing the last song, and then we'll do the last prayer.
May the peace of God go before us into this glorious week, and may the peace remain wherever we have walked. Peace above us and below us, peace to the right and to the left, peace within and without, peace in the face of everyone we meet, peace in the words to everyone we greet. Amen.
We've got First Sunday food over there, so go help yourself. And if you're staying for the listening session, sign in. Thank you for your help.